The chase for the Challenger Cup in 2026 heads across the pond, as for the first time in series history we venture into new territory and into a new country. Tonight, the Challenger Cup Series and its chase for the Challenger Cup arrives in Japan at Twin Ring Motegi for the penultimate race of Season 1 of the 2026 Challenger Cup Series campaign. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the virtual Twin Ring Motegi. That's right. The first stop for the Challenger Cup Series outside of the virtual United States comes tonight in the penultimate race of the season in what should be a very interesting one and uncharted territory for every driver on track. Of course, this past weekend was the San Diego road course, the street course weekend. Naval Base Coronado was the host of the NASCAR National Series. At the beginning of the year, when the schedule was formed for the Challenger Cup Series, of course, following the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, San Diego was not yet available on the iRacing service. Of course, it becomes available last week, and a lot of leagues have changed their schedules to reflect that. And going to Naval Base Coronado this week, many leagues are getting their first experience with that course. But the Challenger Cup Series and its league admins decided they would keep the schedule the same. This date was changed back in February to Twin Ring Motegi, and it has been kept to be that here this season as the penultimate race of the season. So we will race on the Twin Ring Motegi Oval tonight. For the first time in series history, we arrive in Japan. And this one should be very interesting. Coming into the evening, Ryan Patti's developed a sizable points lead coming into the second to last race of the season, but at a track that no one has attempted yet to this point. It should prove interesting. Can Harold Watkins close the gap back up before we head to the lefts and rights of Sonoma next week in the championship race? It's time to start to head down trackside and get you ready for the start from Twin Ring Motegi, and it'll all begin with the starting lineup. For tonight's race, you'll meet the 15 starters from Twin Ring Motegi. On the pole, by virtue of his quick time in the qualifying session, it's the Sinclair Toyota of Rusty Modesty. One of his first poles of 2026 comes tonight at this brand new circuit. On the outside of the front row is going to be the 5 of Matt Hayden, Coca-Cola colors aboard his Chevrolet tonight. We'll see what he's got for the field when they go green here in just a moment at Motegi. Back on row 2, series debut for Adam Pettit in car 49. He'll carry Build Submarines on board that Ford Mustang Dark Horse, the bright green number 49 there on the side. If you're a longtime PGR eSports viewer, Pettit actually was one of the drivers in the OP Racing Throwback Series that I used to broadcast a while back. He makes his Challenger debut tonight here at Twin Ring Motegi. And on the outside of that row is one of the men we'll be watching tonight. That is the 3, the Hurricane, Harold Watkins. Starts from position 4, well ahead of Ryan Patti, trying to get back into this championship battle that continues tonight. Back on row 3 and starting 5th will be Andrew Little in the Waterford Concept Chevrolet, looking to finish off a good season with a top 3 points finish. He'll start from 5th alongside the outstanding rookie, Clinton Woodby, who starts from 6th. Row 4, Cody Eldred in the 14 will start from 7th alongside Greg Bourbonier. Special colors aboard that 00. You see the American flag and the Japanese flag represented aboard that Toyota Camry. He'll start from 8th. Row 5, Ron Walters in the 99 for Whitewater Express will start from the 9th position alongside the Oscar Mayer Chevy at James Catrone rounding out the top 10. Row 6, another start for Fisher Graham, the rookie in the all-blue 13. He'll start from 11th alongside the green 75 of Mike Martino. Row 7 is the points leader, Ryan Patti, 2 races away from a Challenger Cup Series title. He'll start from 13th tonight. It'll be Jimmy Fitzmaurice that starts from 14th. And on the final spot of the field, 15 starters tonight, Brian Cunningham rounds out the field in 15th. Well, the drivers are ready, as are we. This is going to be a very interesting one tonight. Again, a lot of leagues have changed their schedule to go to San Diego. The Challenger Cup Series decides to keep the date the same and come to Twin Ring Motegi, a very unique oval. It's similar to both Darlington and Gateway in that one end of the racetrack is very wide, arcing, a little bit less banking. The other end, a little bit higher bank, but a little bit tighter corner, which is going to prove interesting. Both sides of the racetrack going to race completely unique to one another. It's a first for the Challenger Cup Series. We are racing from Japan. We're underway from Motegi. Lap 1 complete, lap 2 on the board, and Harold Watkins makes it known early that he wants to lead laps, get bonus points, be in position for stage points to close up that points gap with Ryan Patti. Coming into tonight, the gap between the two men, between Patti and Watkins, was 32 points. Harold Watkins with some serious work to do. He will get a considerable amount of bonus points with the stage and a potential victory tonight, but he would have to not only win the stage, but also probably win the race and have Ryan Patti have a little bit of misfortune. Now, Patti +3 already. He's up to 10th, but work to do to get up to currently Rusty Modesty, who runs in that final position for stage points. And the laps here are not very long, about 35 seconds or so. Matter of fact, 35.83. Harold Watkins' best lap of the race was lap 2. So, knowing that, not a lot of time for Patti to get in position to get stage points and even up Watkins. Watkins trying to win. He said it last week coming into this race. Winning is everything. It's either I win or this championship isn't happening. He felt like he had to win both of the last 2 races in order to get himself in position for the championship. And tonight, a good start so far for car number 3, about a 6-car length lead over Matt Hayden. Hayden runs second. Then it's Woodby, who got by Adam Pettit on the opening start. +3 for both Watkins and Woodby. +4 for Ryan Patti, a little further back in the field, up to the 9th position. Mike Martino already on pit road problems for the 75. Really, you saw him get the wall off turn 2 on the opening lap of tonight's race. He continues to sit in his pit box for the time being. Hayden starting to catch Watkins. Hayden was fastest in the practice session just a little bit ago. Curious to see if that translates to the race. For now, Hayden will keep tabs, but not quite get back. Ryan Patti further back. This is a pass on Cody Eldred. That's for the 8th position. And again, the points battle coming into tonight. We'll keep an eye on the top 2 in the points for the time being, seeing where they both end up and again how those points shake out once the stage ends and once the race comes to an end as well. Eldred alongside James Catrone. Catrone is back to where he started in 10th. Eldred -2. Rusty Modesty started from the pole. He's back to the 5th position. Ron Walters has lost 3 to 12th, and Mike Martino has lost 3 to 15th. Those are the biggest backslides so far in the field. Watkins continues to lead. It's about a 4-10 lead over Matt Hayden right now. They are pulling away from the remainder of the field as they run right now. Next up on tap for Patti is Greg Bourbonier. Then it would be the stage points after that, or rather Andrew Little, and then the stage points. So a little ways to go so far for Patti to get back to stage points before this stage comes to an end. With Watkins leading the field, he can close that gap up to 26. Assuming, of course, that they get a point for leading a lap, which is my understanding. Modesty overdrives turn 3. Woodby has to jump in the binders. Andrew Little's going to drive into this battle here in a moment, try to get alongside Woodby as Ryan Patti works on Greg Bourbonier. Roll other battles on the speedway right now. I'm not really surprised. This is a very technical, tricky oval to get around with it being relatively flat. It's not built like the cookie cutter 1.5 miles that you'll see over here over here in North America, where it's high bank built for speed. Motegi, more of a technical, unique oval. And so I'm not exactly too terribly surprised that this race is getting strung out early in the going. Half a second lead for Harold Watkins. Ryan Patti almost got the wall there in turn 4. So he continues to catch Greg Bourbonier. That's actually where we will head, because that's going to be the closest battle to the front on the racetrack right now. Again, Patti's got work to do here. He's about a 1.5 seconds off stage points right now with already 8 laps on the board. Eldred Catrone run just behind these guys in 9th and 10th. Patti attacks again, can't get the tires underneath him. Now tries to here off of 4. The car slides on him, but he'll get alongside Greg Bourbonier and move Ryan Patti 1 point closer to stage points in this opening stage. We'll follow the points leader on his track to the front. Meanwhile, Matt Hayden has started to close the gap on Harold Watkins. Watkins going to have to go to work on defense, as Patti is all offense right now. You give it a points lead like he's got, got to be careful, but you can't afford to play some offense here in the early stages of this race. Try to go get you some stage points, make things happen, and that way later in the race you're not as worried about where you finish if Watkins can't cut into the gap too terribly much. Yeah, we head to Sonoma next week. Of course, Harold Watkins, a road course winner here in 2026, back at the Circuit of the Americas in March. But I do believe that Ryan Patti, one of his 8 wins on the season, came at Watkins Glen in the middle of the campaign. So I believe both men have road course wins this year, which means Watkins could see tonight's the opportunity to really cut into the gap, put himself in a good position, headed to Sonoma next week for a road course race. Patti notably struggling just a little bit here in the mid stages of this stage with grip over in the turn 3 and 4 area of the racetrack. Not able to get that car to corner very well right now. As drivers try to learn the track, Patti did not get a lap in practice that I recall. His first laps on the track, I believe, were in the qualifying session, at least in tonight's events. Almost got the wall there off turn 2 again. He's not gained much on Andrew Little. In fact, he's lost about 0.3 of a second in terms of the gap up to the stage points. And again, he loses the back end there off turn 4 and will drop to the Bourbonnais and Eldred machines. And this is danger zone for Ryan Patti right now. The car is not driving the way he wants it to, and Harold Watkins is scooting away with the race lead. In a position to put some stage points on the board and potentially make this a very interesting stage 2, especially if Watkins is able to go to victory lane tonight. Eldred and Bourbonnais both get the wall behind Patti, but Patti got it too. And Bourbonnais goes by. Eldred tries to shoot here into 3. And Ryan Patti's on the ropes. The points leader is on the ropes here in the early stages at Motegi. This is about as uncomfortable as we've seen the Fast Hatch Chevrolet look all year. Eldred attacking. Catrone's not out of this. We could very well see Patti drop to 10th before this stage is over. He charged through the field a little bit in the early stages, but has kind of found some trouble here in the mid stages of this stage as he tries to fight back into stage points. He's now 2.5 seconds. Rather, 3.5 seconds back at stage points. It's a tall task at this point. This is dream scenario if you're Harold Watkins right now. The other dream scenario for Watkins is this race so far has stayed green through the opening 14 laps. He's able to build a lead, and he'll lose that lead when the stage comes up. And you can't imagine Ryan Patti, 8 wins this season in 17 starts. You can't imagine that Patti's going to go this whole race and not learn the racetrack as he goes. Certainly not this start that he wanted to his evening so far, as he is on defense right now, 9 seconds back in the leader. Mike Martino, the only car 1 lap down. Matt Hayden within 0.6 of the leader is as close as he's been able to get. Let's go up here. What appears to be the battle that is starting to develop for third. Adam Pettit starting to fall into the clutches of Rusty Modesty and company here. Adam Pettit, again, a guy that I have called races for before, but it's been a little while. The familiar 49, he used to run the all-yellow 49 on the side of that race car, but now BuildSubmarines.com is on board that Ford Mustang. As again, he makes his series debut tonight. A number of drivers have made their debut this season. Pettit, among others, Clinton Woodby, David Traylor, both race winners this season as rookies. Fisher Graham made his debut this year. Ron Walters, Bill Gartner, who's not in the field tonight, Brian Cunningham. A number of drivers have made their first starts in the Challenger Cup Series here in 2026. Several have had a lot of raw speed as well. Of course, 2 race winners. Clinton Woodby has won a couple of times, sweeping the plate races, the raw plate races, Daytona and Talladega. David Traylor, winner at Atlanta, Martinsville, and Charlotte. A combined 5 wins between those 2 outstanding rookies to this point. Pettit, so far so good for him, 3rd on the charts right now. It's not lost anything from where he started, so a good rookie debut for him so far. Ryan Patti's lost another spot. He's dropped to 9th behind Cody Eldred. Patti does not appear terribly comfortable with the race car right now. The Good Chevrolet, Callaway on the hood, familiar look, red, white, and black. But that Chevrolet Camaro this week for Harold Watkins, although Matt Hayden started to close this gap back up a little bit here with 13 to go in the opening stage. Only 1 stage break tonight coming up at the conclusion of lap 30. See that there at the top left of your screen. Get 134 laps tonight. It's going to go by relatively quickly if this thing gets into a green flag run. 36-second laps right now, only about 0.3 of fall off over the first 18 laps of this race. See if that continues on the tire run as well. $12 to go, stage 1. Watkins, Hayden, Pettit, Modesty, Little, your top 5. Again, we continue to watch the developing points battle between Harold Watkins and Ryan Patti. Patti, the 32-point lead coming into tonight, Motegi, but he is on the ropes. About 19 laps in, if you're just joining us. He started back in the 13th position, did not put down a qualifying lap, at least not one that was timed. Got all the way to 8th, and was battling for 7th, but since then has not looked very comfortable inside the cockpit of that Fast House Chevrolet. He is 13 seconds off the lead right now as Harold Watkins leads at Motegi. Set to get 5 stage points, and if he were to win and get the points difference for winning as well, this would be a monumental shift. And we get right back to where we were last week in terms of the points battle. We go right back to where we were beforehand. Harold Watkins would love nothing more than that. We'll see if Patti can recover, but again, especially over on this end of the racetrack, turns 3 and 4, he just has not looked very comfortable inside that race car. And it's cost him a ton of time. No battles on the racetrack right now. Watkins continuing to drive away from Hayden once again. He's doubled the lead over the past 4 laps or so. Everyone has completely spread out. Nine to go. Stage 1 single digits on the board. Watkins maintains an 8/10 lead. Again, Motegi tonight. I'll have my first bout with the San Diego Naval Base Coronado circuit tomorrow night on Precision Entertainment with the Moonshiners Racing League and its GMD Janitorial Cup Series, which is going to the San Diego Street Course. So, looking forward to getting my first reps on that racetrack tomorrow night. Tonight, business to be attended to at Motegi. Rusty Modesty going to flip the stage or just come to pit road perhaps. We'll see if this is an on-cycle pit stop here in a moment. And Jimmy Fitzmaurice coming to pit road tells me this is on-cycle. Forgot to mention it is a 45% fuel load in this car tonight, which is considerably lower than what we're used to throughout this season. And Harold Watkins cedes the lead. Martino's on pit road again. Here comes Watkins. Matt Hayden goes to the lead, and we're going to be into a green flag pit cycle early here. Adam Pettit pits, Andrew Little pits. Doesn't look like anybody else is going to come down this time. Clinton Woodby is going to bypass it. So is Cody Eldred. So is Ryan Patti. You'll wonder if Ryan Patti may try to stretch this. I wondered if I heard his car off one of these times around the racetrack. Let's see. We can get a decent angle. Actually, let's just go on board with him here and see if he's clutching the car on entry to the corner here. He just lifted out of it right there. We'll stay on board with Ryan Patti. You see him work way up the racetrack. Those right side tires do not want to grab the speedway right now. He's lifting awfully early, but you wonder if that's for fuel save or if that's for other reasons. But Patti right now is up to the 5th position. The driver's coming to pit road. Matt Hayden's going to do so here. He'll bring his Coca-Cola Chevrolet to pit road. A new look for him this week. Clinton Woodby appears is going to stay on at least one more. So is Cody Eldred. So is Greg Bourbonier. And so is Ryan Patti. So a few cars stretching towards the end of the stage, and this could flip the race on its head if Harold Watkins doesn't get any stage points. Matt Hayden, again, comes to pit road. He'll cede that spot, so Watkins will be back up to 9th, assuming he cycles out back in front of Matt Hayden. But we'll wait to see if any of the other leaders are going to come in the last 5 laps of the stage, or if these guys are going to try to stretch it. Ryan Patti's the most interesting one here He could completely flip this points battle and push his lead to 37. Oh, Woodby thought about it right there. Locked up the tires. Eldred does too. Goes into the barrels. Big hit, Cody Eldred. Right into the pit barrels. And big damage aboard that 14. And he cannot get that car turned off the wall. He got the end of the pit barrels there, trying to lock that car down and get to pit road. Bourbonnier Catrone Walters will join him. A tough break for Cody Eldred. And now Woodby, I think Clinton Woodby's out of gas. Or he sputtered, perhaps, down the back straightaway. He's slow. And this hands the lead to Ryan Patti. And how long will this be interesting? Not very long, because here comes Patti to pit road. But he did go a few extra laps. Does Patti think about a quick stop here? Does he try to just get on and off pit road? We're looking for Harold Watkins. Matt Hayden has cycled in front of the Callaway Chevy. Watkins cycles to second. Fisher Graham goes to the race lead with 3 to go in the stage. Patti on pit road's going to lose out on stage points. Fisher Graham now is the leader. And does he have enough to make it here? Down the back straightaway, he's got Matt Hayden bearing down on him. A 1.5 difference. It'll be 2 to go in the stage next time by. Fisher Graham is going to bring that car to pit road. He's actually going to spin it on the apron in the 13. He'll get that car back going and get to pit road, no harm and no foul. But Matt Hayden gets back around the Harold Watkins machine, and Ryan Patti cycles out what will be 5th. So he's going to get a stage point here, perhaps. It's only going to be a 3-point jump for Harold Watkins here. Watkins not winning the stage, combined with Patti getting into the stage points, is going to mean a 3-point difference between the two in the stage. So Watkins will push the gap down to 29. Still need a win, likely to be in contention next week in Sonoma. He'll need Patti to finish about where he was earlier, have a big-time chance. We'll see what the numbers come out to at the end of this race if that does happen. 1 to go, stage 1. Matt Hayden leads the field off turn 2. He cycles out in front of Harold Watkins. Andrew Little cycles out in front of Adam Pettit, who cycles out 4th. Ryan Patti gets all the way to 5th. Woodby 6th, Bourbonnier 7th, Catrone 8th, Fitzmaurice 9th, Walters 10th. Of course, Cody Eldred and Rusty Modesty both having issues on pit road. Off turn 4. Pit cycle works in the favor of the Coca-Cola Chevy. Matt Hayden wins stage 1 at Motegi ahead of Watkins, Little, Pettit, and Patti. A 3-point jump for Harold Watkins in stage 1. Not what he exactly had planned, not what he wanted based on how the results were looking to shake out there. But it's points nonetheless for Watkins, and that is important in the grand scope of the championship fight. Patti across the line. No caution yet. And there is the stage caution. So Matt Hayden will lead the field down pit road here in just a moment. In the meantime, we're going to take one and hopefully our only break of the night. Stay with us. You'll see the pit stops on the right side of your screen. We'll update you on where guys get off pit road and get you ready for stage 2 when we come back. It's the Challenger Cup Series. Chase the Challenger Cup. You're watching PGR eSports live from Twin Ring Motegi.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3 by 3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run! Ladies and gentlemen, we got
The monkey has prime!
this season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time!
Oh, that's good.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Welcome back to the virtual Twin Ring Motegi. If you're just joining us, Challenger Cup Series changes to the Challenger Cup. The second to last race of the season here for Season 1 of 2026 brings us across the pond to Japan. A trip to Twin Ring Motegi. Adam Pettit won the race off pit road. He'll inherit the lead ahead of Matt Hayden, Harold Watkins, Andrew Little, and Clint Woodby, the rest of the top five. Ryan Patti runs sixth as he figured something out for this second run of the race. Well, the points battle will be even more interesting headed to Sonoma next week. Pettit and Hayden on the front row. Green flag back in the air. Both lanes stack up, but everybody gets going. All the way back to Eldred in the 10th position. Everybody off and away. Pettit to the lead. Watkins will attack here to turn one and be aggressive. He drove away before the pit cycle. It's very likely, by the way, that we will have 4 pit cycles in this final stage, judging on when guys started to pit last time around. If you push it, you could make 3, one every 25 laps. Almost trouble there. Would be up the racetrack. Little almost into Matt Hayden. Everybody keeps it safe. They're off turn 4, but almost calamity there around the 4th spot, and that's right around the points leader. Watkins to the inside. He attacks. He got by Hayden on the opening lap. Can't get by Pettit there. Watkins trying to get back to the lead. Harold Watkins, he knows what's at stake. He knows what he has to do. Here's the move to the inside. Patty's up to 5th around Clinton Woodby as Watkins looks for the lead. Harold Watkins to the inside. Hayden trying to follow him through. This could be very important for Watkins. He drives away with the lead. Hayden trying to get second. Patti for sure drives up in front of Woodby. That's for 5th. As he figured the racetrack out here in stage 2. 98 to go. Watkins by 5 car lengths ahead of Matt Hayden. Then it's Pettit, Little, and now Patti. +8 to 5th for the points leader. Right now, it wouldn't be as big a drop for Patti if he were to finish where he is right now. Pettit under fire. This is from Little and Patti. As Hayden chases Watkins for the race lead. If you're Harold Watkins here, you don't want Patti to have figured out the racetrack on this run. You want him to start to drop back and get the maximum points difference possible to make this thing really interesting headed to Sonoma, California next week. Pettit passed up by Little, who goes to third. Patti continues to maintain fifth for now, though Clinton Woodby started to throw a little bit of a charge Patti's way. Jimmy Fitzmaurice is into this battle. He's seventh right now. They get to see Chevrolet. Matt Hayden starting to figure something out up front for the lead. He's down inside of 4/10 back. Trying to get back to Harold Watkins and go to victory lane for the first time in 8 months. Watkins, the winner at Michigan a couple of weeks ago. Patti to the inside of Pettit. This is for fourth. Contact between the two. They make it through okay. 95 to go, and this is as high as the points leaders run all night. He's up to fourth. Would be past Pettit. That's for fifth. Again, we keep our eyes on the points leader. Again, he slips a little bit there in turn 4. Would be in Pettit. That was close. Both keep it together as well. And it is 94 to go. Already basically almost a third of the way through the race. For what it's worth, Ryan Patty's last lap, 4/10 slower than the leader. He's got about 95 laps to figure it out, but right now fourth, definitely not the worst that it could be for Ryan Patti. He may not have race-winning speed tonight, which we've not said a lot this year. But if he could manage to scrap away a top 5, well, he'll head to Sonoma next week as the points leader with just one race to go. Sonoma, not a place that Ryan Patti has said he's extremely confident at. He's a good road racer. Of course, we've seen him win at Watkins Glen a couple of times in this series. But he's not a guy that loves road racing. He's not a guy that, at least self-proclaimed, is the fastest road racer. Watkins, a winner on a road course this year as well. This could shape up extremely well for a good points battle next week if these two go in close enough into Sonoma in a week's time. 92 to go here tonight, though. Again, we're going to await that first pit cycle. Again, we're likely going to have 3 pit cycles here in this stage, the way the fuel load is set up on board these race cars. It's likely that we're going to have at least 3 fuel cycles. A couple guys may have to take 4 fuel cycles on this last run. We'll see. Battle for 6. Pettit on the outside. Bourbonier leaning to the inside, trying to get that spot away as Pettit's backslide continues to stay out on that stage caution and has dropped all the way to 6, trying to defend that spot now from a gaggle of cars behind him. Ooh, Bourbonier got a shot there maybe on entry from Jimmy Fitzmaurice, who works way wide in turns 3 and 4. All of a sudden the pressure's off Adam Pettit. Bourbonier passed up by Rusty Modesty for 7th. As those two cars continue to go at it. Up here, Patti catching Little for 3rd. Now, he's not got race-winning speed. Watkins and Hayden appear to be in a bit of a realm of their own tonight in terms of the speed underneath those race cars, but Patti, scratching and clawing to a 3rd. That would be a massive improvement from what we saw in Stage 1. Again, Stage 1, he ran as low as 10th. And that would have been disaster for Patti headed into Sonoma next week. A 3rd place finish would at least be something he could swallow headed to that one next week. He knows he'd be the points leader if that's the case. Head into the final race. And he continues to try to run down Andrew Little. That would be for third. Again, both of these cars are 2.8 seconds or more off the lead right now. 3 seconds now. Watkins and Hayden showed up and came to play tonight. Watkins by half a second over Hayden. Hayden's got 2.5 seconds on the rest of the field. Pettit Modesty is heating up just a little bit back here. This again for 6th. And he'll get to the inside of the backsliding Pettit. Bourbonnier going to try to follow through. So Modesty goes to the 6th position. Bourbonnier will try to make it 2 for 1 and get 7th here in turn 1. Pettit out of the way, lets Bourbonnier on by. Move those two up to 6th and 7th. Move Pettit back to the 8th position. Cody Elmstrud trying to get on the recovery train. He's a lap down after his pit incident earlier. They hit to the pit barrels. James Catrone is also 1 lap down. They are 12th and 13th. Matt Hayden closing in on the leader again. It's not what Harold Watkins wants to see on lap 49. 86 to go, and he's got a challenger in the mirror. Harold Watkins won a couple of weeks at Michigan. Matt Hayden's not won since Talladega back in the late stages of 2025. Love to make Motegi his first win since that race. It was his only Challenger win in 2025, at least the only broadcasted Challenger win in 2025. And the caution flag's out. James Catrone and Ron Walters. We're in turns 1 and 2. Oh, this was after the contact. Good grief. Big hit there for James Catrone. And this is a bad camera angle. Let's see if we can get a better camera angle. Walters up the hill, wheel hopping in turn 1. And comes down. Catrone also missed the center of the corner, and Walters turns left. And doesn't see Catrone coming in. Big hit right there for James Catrone on the outside safer barrier. Ron Walters gets it as well. Pretty significant damage to both of those race cars. Go back to a different angle of it here and see it once more. Ron Walters, you're going to see him go up the hill. It's actually over in turns 3 and 4. Goes up the hill. Goes to come back down, pulls it off the wall, doesn't see Catrone coming. Catrone is also off the bottom. Well, those cars coming to stop Catrone. Big damage on his car. He was already a lap down. Likely at this point, he'll go at least 1 more lap down. One more review of it. And watch Walters up the hill. Now watch Catrone come in from the right side of your screen. He drifts up the hill. They come together. Big hit there for Catrone. Big damage on both cars. They are both on pit road on the service of their pit crews. Everybody else is on pit road as well. Harold Watkins to his box. Matt Hayden to his box. Imagine the call will be 4 tires for a lot of the drivers on pit road. No, it's fuel only for Harold Watkins. Fuel only for Matt Hayden. Some guys going up on the jack, including Adam Pettit. Fuel only for Watkins and Hayden. Tires for Ryan Patti, perhaps. He'll come out 8th. Interesting there. The points leader opts to go opposite the strategy of the leaders and drop a couple of spots and see if it pays dividends for him as this race continues. 52 laps in, 83 laps to go. 134 laps the race distance tonight. Second caution of the night is out. The first for incident. We'll double up for the restart. which will be on lap 54. Yeah, 54 of 134, so 81 to go. We go back green. Watkins, Hayden, Little, Woodby, Bourbonnier, your top 5. Then it's Modesty, Fitzmaurice, Patti, Pettit, Graham, the rest of the top 10. As we are closing in on halfway, it does change the fuel number just a little bit with only what's going to be 81 to go. It's likely now that we are closing in on the range of only having to do 2 pit stops rather than at least 3, if not 4. We might still be on the front edge of having to do 3 and having a very late money stop inside of 10 to go. So we'll see what the pit strategy looks like late in this one as well. For Harold Watkins, Matt Hayden's been the only one really in the same zip code as the number 3 tonight. Watkins would love to outduel the number 5 of Matt Hayden. He would love to get to victory lane tonight and have Patti finish about where he is and go into Sonoma next week and make this thing a championship fight. Watkins, Hayden, Little, Woodby, Bourbonnier, your top 5. Green flag. Watkins off to the races. Hayden did not go very well. He'll be challenged by Andrew Little here into turn 1 as Watkins is away with the lead. Big restart for Watkins. He can now try to set sail and establish a rhythm here on this opening run of this second stage. Hayden clears Little for second. Woodby has to jump in behind Little. Those are 3rd and 4th spots. Ryan Patti continues to be 7th for the time being. Back here on a couple of cars, going to try to go through the middle. Boy, did he think about it right there. He's still thinking about it, is Ryan Patti. Keep an eye back there on him. Matt Hayden was closing to the leader, Harold Watkins. Lost a little bit on entry to turn 1, gains it back on exit. Here comes Matt Hayden. About a 3-car length difference on entry to turn 3. And kind of the story of last year, too, when these two went to battle a couple of times. Homestead comes to mind. Watkins way better on entry, and that tends to win him these races when he's able to play defense, especially when he's so good on entry in clean air. Hayden better on exit, but can't get there and can't make the pass. Ryan Patti got by Adam Pettit and Greg Bourbonnier. That was for 6th. Move Patti back to that spot a little further back in the field. Battle's ongoing back here, though. We'll come back up to this in a moment because back here it is a mess. Around the Little, Woodby, Modesty, Patti machines. Patti gets by Modesty. That's for 5th. Ryan Patti's figured it out somewhat here. I don't think he's got race-winning pace. But he's got pace to contend. At least be in a good enough position to try to break even on Harold Watkins tonight. And head to Sonoma next week as the championship favorite. He's been the championship favorite all year. Return a phrase, but looking ahead there next week. He's the bona fide man to beat. Watkins by 2.5 tenths over Matt Hayden. Just 77 laps to go. Again, we are closing in on the halfway point very quickly. We're about 10 laps from that point right now. Continue to watch the developing battle for 3rd. Adam Pettit on tires has caught Ryan Patti, though. Drop him another spot. Pettit took tires on that last run. There have been several tenths of fall off over the course of a fuel run. So about 4 to 5 tenths in that first pit cycle of about 25 laps. Tires do matter. More so than they have a couple of times this season, it feels like, since the new updates to this next-gen car. It feels like tires have been more important. This was the battle developing for the third spot with Little Would-Be, Patti, and company, but it is somewhat dissolved. Harold Watkins, by the way, has put a 3/10 buffer beyond what he already had. Rusty Motegi way up the track. Harold Watkins has built a 4 to 5/10 lead for Matt Hayden and the rest of the field. Patti gets passed by Pettit. He's back to 6th again. Pettit again on new tires. Oh, in the wall. Andrew Little right there. 72 laps to go, and Little's in the fence. Off turn 4, Would-Be taking advantage. Dives to the inside. Makes the pass. Clinton Would-Be's got something here. Again, the rookie campaign continues to be fascinating for Clinton Would-Be. Andrew Little battles back on the outside for second here off turn 2. For Would-Be, this has been such a fascinating campaign. A guy that seemed early in the season to be, oh man, big slide job. Andrew Little completely blows the corner. Goes way wide in turns 3 and 4. He's going to lose 1, 2, 3 spots as Would-Be, Pettit, and Patti all drive on by. Anyway, Clinton Would-Be coming into tonight 8th in the points. He didn't drop a spot last week, but to have the stats that he's had this year, 3 stage wins in 16 total starts, 2 wins, Daytona and Talladega, 8 top 5s and 11 top 10s. That's a really good stat line, one of the better ones in the series for this season. So for Would-Be, what a fascinating campaign. And that, early in the year I felt like maybe we were seeing a super speedway ringer, if you will, a guy who was really good at the plate races, and of course a couple of those to open the season. But he's put in the work on these other tracks, made the chase, has been in contention at other racetracks as well. Put up a really good season, has Clinton Would-Be. The second most stage points in the field behind Ryan Patti. So a guy that is consistent. Every week he's showing up, he's running inside the top 5, and Clinton Would-Be has had a great campaign. As Ryan Patti works on him further back, Little and Modesty both go up the hill. That's for 6th. Patti to the inside. Would-Be a slide there off turn 4. Adam Pettit got by Would-Be a moment ago, by the way, for 3rd. Patti on by, trying to get 4th. Patti's gotten faster since we looked in on him at the end of stage 1. Towards the end of stage 1, I should say. Patti's gotten a little bit faster. He's gained a little bit. Again, I don't know if he's got race-winning speed at this point. We're already at the halfway mark. But he's picked up his pace quite a bit. Last time by, Patti was about 1/10 and a half slower than the leader, Harold Watkins. He's gained a little bit more ground in the lap time department. That time by, again, about 1/10 slower. So he's picked up the delta from the earlier parts of the race, but a little ways to go for Ryan Patti still. Little and Modesty. This continues to be a fun battle for 6th back here. Battle cools off just a little bit there. Watkins' lead is up to 0.8 of a second as we start to approach the realm of that next pit cycle, which would again be around 56 laps to go, which be around 10 laps from now, assuming everybody can run about 25. About 10 laps away from another pit cycle. Yes, Harold Watkins continues to lead. Ryan Patty's dropped off of Adam Pettit, but Clinton Woodby's not doing a ton in that department to catch Ryan Patty here. Patty's kind of in no man's land between those two cars right now. .65 to go this time by. We're across the lap 70 mark, past halfway at Motegi. It's only 9:25 on the East Coast right now. So we're going by in a hurry. From here, back up front to Harold Watkins. From here, the Challenger Cup Series heads to Sonoma next week for the championship race of Season 1 of 2026. Be sure to join us at 8:30 p.m. next Tuesday night for the conclusion of the Challenger Cup Series season. This points battle between Ryan Patty and Harold Watkins. Beyond Season 1, of course, no breaks. With the Cup schedule not taking an off week, we will not either before we get right into Season 2. Chicagoland will open it up on July the 7th, followed by a race at Echo Park. Atlanta Motor Speedway Week 2 again in Season 2. North Wilkesboro and Indy follow to wrap up July, the first week of August, an off week for the series. Iowa, Richmond, New Hampshire, all a trio of shorter technical ovals before we head back to the World Center of Racing Daytona on September 1st. Last 5 races of the Season 2 regular season: Darlington, Gateway, Bristol, Kansas, and Las Vegas. A couple of mile-and-a-half cookie cutters, the Last Great Coliseum. A couple of unique ovals like Motegi. Wrap up the regular season rather in Season 2. The chase, 5 races long, and you thought this chase has been chaotic. Just wait till next season. Charlotte, which has proven to be some of the most chaotic racing we've seen on the service in this next-gen car over the last month or so. Phoenix hosted the championship race last season in Season 2. Talladega needs no introduction. Martinsville, which proved to be one of the most chaotic finishes we've seen in series history back in Season 1. Or back earlier in Season 1, and then Homestead, Miami, which is one of the most wide-open mile-and-a-halfs on the circuit. That will have the Fall Brawl November 17th, one last race in the season. It'll be the Pro 2 trucks at Martinsville. That one will be a lot of fun as well. You won't want to miss that race. That's going to be a great time. That's what to look forward to in Season 2. Quick update, Andrew Little was almost passed by Clinton Woodby. Let's go back here for a moment. So these two cars go to battle for the 5th spot. Rusty Modesty watching on. We'll go double file here to turn 1. Andrew Little trying to get back on the power, trying to stay outside of Woodby. Woodby clears up. Little, does he cross over? No, he knocks the fence down. Rusty Modesty has to bail. They both save it, but Little knocked down the right front of that race car on the outside wall. We'll see if there's suspension damage on board that 68. Some handling issues perhaps for him now that he's knocked the fence down over there on that end of the racetrack. 58 laps to go next time by for Harold Watkins. Modesty's to the inside of Andrew Little. Now actually to the inside of Clinton Woodby, although that battle will evaporate, or will it? It will not. Modesty alongside. This for 5th again. But surely, by the way, Ryan Patty's picked up a little bit on the leaders. Would be back to the inside crossover off turn 4. It doesn't quite work, and now Andrew Little's back to his outside. Modesty away with 5th. Andrew Little trying to cling to 6th. Woodby dives in deep. Little missed the corner again. He's going to get the wall a second time, and that's all she wrote for that battle. as Little drops all the way to 8th. Oh, big trouble. Andrew Little into the pit barrels. I think he made a snap decision to come to pit road and did not get there in time. And obliterates the pit barrels at the end of pit road, and the caution flag's out. We saw this happen live. We'll go back and look at a couple angles of it, but my goodness. Again, I think he makes a snap decision here to try to come to pit road and spins the car under braking and goes left rear wheel first into the barricade. A big moment here for Andrew Little. He got the wall, and again, I think he makes a snap decision right here. I'm coming to pit road. I'm just going to pit early, get the damage fixed, and spins the car, trying to get down to speed. And hits the pit barrels. One more look. We'll go on board with the Waterford Concept Chevy. Watch this hit. It is a jolting one. Here are the pit barrels. Big hit for Andrew Little. Caution flags out for the 3rd time at Twin Ring Motegi. Everybody on pit road. And Ryan Patti gambles this time and inherits the lead. And flipped the race on its head because the points leader's taken the point. Inside of 50 laps to go. 55 laps to go, rather. Problems for James Catrone off pit road. What in the world happened back here? Trying to get the car to pit road. Spins it the same way Andrew Little did. He got the wall. Bad night gone worse for James Catrone. So Ryan Patti gambles. No tires for him. And he stays out with 55 to go. This gamble could pay off, but we saw earlier for Adam Pettit, this gamble did not work earlier in the race. I'm not so sure here for Ryan Patti, and do you want to put yourself that far behind the 8 ball? Head to what could be the last pit stop here after this next run. Again, we could be within the range of one more pit stop, maybe 2, depending on how far guys push here. Patty's going to elect the outside over to the outside of Harold Watkins. Adam Pettit and Matt Hayden will be on row 2. And it'll be Clinton Woodby and Rusty Modesty back on row 3. I'm not sure about this one. For Ryan Patti, you're the points leader. He was running in the 4th position, which would be plenty to maintain the points lead into Sonoma next week. You do not need to win. The onus is on Harold Watkins to win tonight. Patti did not see it that way. He comes to pit road, gambles, and inherits the lead. If he drops too far back and we don't get another caution, this could spell disaster headed to next week, but we'll see. As Ryan Patti has opted to go for the gamble. Looking for win number 9 in 18 starts. It would be a 15% win rate for Ryan Patti if he's able to win tonight. He will have won half the races this season. Remember, last year, Harold Watkins won 11, I think, total between the 2 seasons. Ryan Patti's trying to make it 9 in just the first season. 2026. Patti gambles. He stays out. Everybody else is on tires. Green flag back in the air. And away we go to turn 1. And now, if you're Watkins, how hard do you race Patti if and when you get there? You don't want to upset him headed to Sonoma next week for a championship. But you heard what Watkins said last week after 2 weeks ago at Michigan. And everybody said last week after the second place finish, it was win or nothing trouble. Adam Pettit sideways. Everybody saves it. You heard Watkins say it last week. It was win or nothing with Ryan Patti. And now, with just 53 to go, Patti is scooting away. And you wonder, and I did not catch this on pit road, did Patti take 2 tires? We have seen multiple times this year, Nashville comes to mind as a place where the 2-tire call, the right side tire only, call caution. Fisher Graham is around off turn 4 and draws the 4th caution of the night. I believe this was just a single car incident. Yep, just gets loose over the bumps there and turns 3 and 4, spins sideways. Into the inside wall goes Fisher Graham. Can you see that car start to break loose? What about here? Tries to get it low down, slogs it in, tries to keep it off the wall. Can't do that either. Race control opts for the caution flag. Ryan Patti was scooting away right there on Harold Watkins, and that could completely flip everything on its head. Forget everything you thought you knew about this points battle if that ends up being the case. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take one more break here on PGR eSports. You're watching coverage of the Challenger Cup Series. It's Chase the Challenger Cup, an ultimate race from Motegi. The conclusion of this one from Japan after this.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by 3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Have created Drink Company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run! Ladies and gentlemen, the pilot.
The monkey has arrived!
This season, we are hydrated. The official sports drink of the UFC. It's on!
Oh, that's good.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Back live at Twin Ring Motegi. The order will be the same here for this restart. Patti, Watkins, Hayden, Modesty would be your top 5. Actually, I think it might be Jimmy Fitzmaurice running in 5th. A little bit different order. Fitzmaurice up to the 5th spot. Inside of 50 laps to go now. 48 to go when we take the green flag here. So now definitely just one pit stop remaining for these drivers. It'll be about halfway through this run if this race stays green. 4 cautions tonight, 1 for the stage, 3 for incident, all 3 in the last 30 or so laps of this race. With crashes for Andrew Little, James Catrone, and Fisher Graham, all cleared off the racetrack. Ryan Patti trying to steal away a win and potentially put this thing out of reach, headed to Sonoma next week. Green flag, and away we go. Patti scoots away. Watkins to second, Hayden to third. And the chase is on. Can Harold Watkins get there and steal this one back from Ryan Patti? Or has Patti figured something out in the late stages of this race that could get him to victory lane for the 9th time this season? Watkins within 2 car lengths, and again my question becomes, he'll drop about a 4 car length deficit. If he does get there, how hard are you willing to race the guy you're racing in the championship for the win here in Motegi? You know what Watkins has said the last 2 weeks, and that's that he absolutely has to win no matter what, and he's there for the lead. Watkins on the inside, trying to keep the championship hopes alive. Big dive to the entrance of turn 1. Patti throws the door shut in his face. Is Watkins willing to use the bumper? A little bit of aero blocking there from Ryan Patti. Watkins through the dirty air. Back to within a car length. Meanwhile, Modesty attacks Hayden for third. Most speed we've seen out of the pole sitter since he started on pole earlier. But for the lead again in 3. Remember, Ryan Patti was willing to make contact with Watkins in Michigan. Is Watkins willing to use the bumper here in Japan? 55 to go with the line. Or rather, 45 to go. To the closing stages. Watkins back to the inside. Patti down to block again. Watkins to the back bumper. Chooses to get in the binders. Does not get right to the back of Ryan Patti there. Has to reset and try again. Matt Hayden is there. He's gotten back around Rusty Modesty. Clinton Woodby not too far behind this battle. Adam Pettit is up to 6th. Watkins significantly better on this end of the speedway, especially right there in the center to exit of the corner. Patti had to jump in the brakes. Here's Watkins to the inside. The pass that could potentially save his season. Watkins on the inside makes the pass. New leader Harold Watkins. And the gamble not quite paying off right now for Patti, although he maintains second for now as Watkins scoots away. 44 to go. Hayden to the inside. It's her second. Hayden been in the only other car in Watkins zip code this entire race. Patti crosses over contact. Patti to the back of Hayden. And back to the inside. Can't make the pass. Hayden maintains the spot. So move Watkins back to P1, Hayden back to P2. Patti dropping like a rock here. He's being attacked by Modesty for third. The gamble worked as long as he had clean air, and now that he's out of it, not working as well for the Ryan Patti machine. He's got at least 3 to 4 cars behind him that could try to make a pass on him as well. And if you're Harold Watkins, you want to see this go green. You want this to get to a pit stop. You want it to go green to the end. He knows that's probably his best chance of getting the most points on Ryan Patti. Headed to the lefts and rights of Sonoma a week from now. Hayden chasing. About a half a second back for now. Modesty attacks Patti. This will be for third. Pettit got around Woodby for 5th, or is trying to anyway. Andrew Little's back in the race. He's 7th. Patti again, right here in the exit of turn 4. That car either hits a bump, it just goes straight. Again right here, loses some time on the exit. Here comes Modesty. But the caution's out again, and that may save Patti's race. Not sure exactly what this one's for. Not seeing anything on my timing and scoring. Could be for Jimmy Fitzmaurice. Let's go back and take a look. He was a little bit off the pace over here off turn 4, and it is for Fitzmaurice. It does appear to be still a single car incident, although does he have some help? Got some help from Greg Bourbonniere. And around with Fitzmaurice and into the inside wall. That's a pretty significant hit for the 33. Again, right there, got a little bit maybe of help, maybe a little bit of just an arrow loose with Bourbonniere taking some air off the spoiler. And Fitzmaurice gets around there. And brings out the caution again. That may have saved Ryan Patti. We now will likely get to pit and be on the same strategy as everybody. Not quite what Harold Watkins wanted to see there. 5th caution flag of the night. It continues to be Watkins, Hayden, Patti, Modesty, Pett at the top 5, then would be Little, Eldred, Catrone, Bourbonniere. Rest of the top 10. Most everyone going to bypass pit road. Patti's going to make the left, though. Patti, Pettit, Eldred, Catrone, and everyone on back from there is going to make a pit stop. Watkins, Hayden, Modesty, would be Little, Bourbonniere stay out, so the furthest back Ryan Patti will get his likely 7th here. And now on newer tires, so we'll see how that affects the rest of his race. Harold Watkins continues to lead. This is what he needed to happen, was to be in the lead late in the race and potentially get a victory tonight in Japan. Coming up here in a couple of weeks, I say a couple of weeks, about a month and a half. Of course, last night the PGR Light Series comes to an end. Matthew David Wood is the Light Series champion in Season 4. Now the Light Series is done. Monday nights to be taken over by recruitment races. The recruitment process for the biggest sim racing event of the summer. The PGR eSports SummerSlam 499 is back again in 2026. It will feature the next-gen car, a switch away from the Gen 6. Of course, the first SummerSlam 499 used the Xfinity car. The second iteration last summer used the Gen 6. It was a crazy week of racing if you missed out on that one. And this year we'll use the next-gen car. So another car switch for the SummerSlam 499. Of course, as Malik Ray tries to defend back-to-back SummerSlam 499 wins. Back-to-back championship belts for the Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver for Junior Motorsports, Malik Ray. That is coming up over the next several Mondays. You'll see the recruitment process for that race coming up. But go ahead and set your calendars now. Next Gen's Talladega heat racing begins on the night of July 30th. That is a Thursday. We'll race Thursday through Sunday. July 30th through August 2nd. August 2nd, 3rd annual SummerSlam 499. The Next Gen's at Talladega. Happy to be a part of that event again this year. Of course, was primarily the lead voice. Was the lead voice of the SummerSlam 499 last August. A great privilege to get to call that race last year, and so grateful to be back in the booth this year for that event coming up in about a month and a half. Keep an eye out for that. That's coming up, and you will not want to miss a second of the racing action from Talladega. Business to be attended to here as we are down to just the final 36 laps from Motegi. One pit stop to go at some point on this last run. If a caution comes out about 12 laps from now, these guys will all be able to make it to the checkered flag on fuel. Green flag back in the air. Little spun the tires back around Ryan Patti. Patti tried to go through the center, make it 3 wide. Couldn't do it. He is 8th as they run on the score charts right now. Watkins away with the lead. And again, he would really like this thing to go green. With Patti lodged in traffic now in dirty air, Off turn 4, 35 laps to go, 100 up on the ticker. Patti already passed Eldred. That was for 7th. And looking on Andrew Little now for 6th. As Watkins continues to lead the way for now, ahead of Matt Hayden. Look back at Ryan Patti. Little actually working on Bourbonnier for 5th, so Patti's kind of in no man's land. James Catrone looking to get 8th. How about it for the Oscar Mayer Chevy? He was in the wall big just a little while ago and slides up on Cody Eldred. He's up to the 8th spot. Bourbonnier in the wall. He loses 1 spot to Little. He'll lose 2 spots to Ryan Patti. Patti forward to 6th. And swings that car wide. 34 to go. Again, we watch back here as the points leader battles through some traffic. Matt Hayden keeping it close with Harold Watkins here for the win. He's gotten within arm's length, even close enough to try to make a pass, but has not been able to make the pass quite yet in this race. This battle extends all the way up to Clinton Woodby in 3rd. Patti continues to run 6th. Little to the inside, this for 4th. Again, first time we've seen Andrew Little up this far since earlier, when he got the pit barrels over here off turn 4. Almost more contact between those two cars. Modesty's going to keep the 4th spot, and Patti drives forward to 5th and now tries to make it double. On entry to 1, man on a mission, Ryan Patti. .32 to go, and he makes the pass almost for 4th. A championship level drive if Patti can keep moving forward. He's on newer tires than the leaders. Makes the pass. The Fast House Chevy on the move late at Motegi. Trying to steal away another one. I'll try to get confirmation after the race. If he were to win and Watkins were to have some misfortune, would it lock up the title? The gap were to be the same headed to Sonoma next week. I'm unsure as of right now, but I just don't think that Watkins can make up enough points. Modesty back to the inside, though. Patti's job is not done. Clinton Woodby had a slide there off turn 4. Patti defends for now. Little to the inside of Modesty. That's for 5th. Behind Ryan Patti, who continues to run 4th for the time being. And he's catching Clinton Woodby. This would be an unreal try for Ryan Patti. We watched him learn as this race has gone on. Again, he still does not have race-winning speed. 3 in the 5. Another stratosphere tonight, but he's got speed to run top 3. He'll take that headed to next week. And again, I'll try to get some confirmation once the points come out as to whether or not he will lock up the championship tonight. Should have gotten that before the race started, but we'll see. Oh, man, big slide Modesty. That was almost disaster for him. He's going to lose a spot to James Catrone, headed back to turn 1. 28 laps to go in Japan. And Harold Watkins is doing what he said he had to do to be in contention for the championship. It has been as dominant a performance as we've seen out of Harold Watkins since he dominated the championship race back in November to win the Season 2 title. He's led almost every lap so far. And he's got 27 more to lead to go to victory lane and put a potentially season-saving victory on the board. Again, And I want to say there is a bit of a buffer between first and second in terms of the points given out. If that's the case, if Patti were to finish where he does right now, it would not be enough to lock up the championship tonight. Again, the gap only 29 as they run on the track right now, at least by my live scoring. It may be 30. They do not give out a point. In fact, it might be 30 either way. Whether or not they give out the bonus point, it's back to 30 because both have led a lap. If they don't give out a point, obviously that evens out. So I think it's a 30-point gap. It would be 22 if Watkins wins and Patti finishes right here. Again, if we use the NASCAR scoring, 40, 35, 34, 33. It makes you 23, which would not be enough theoretically to lock up the championship. Matt Hayden is coming. This race is not over. Hayden's there. This is going to be for the lead. Watkins slipped there in 3 and 4, and here comes Matt Hayden, and game on now. Because Watkins has to play perfect defense here to hold off Matt Hayden, who's been the only other car that's been close on pace. By the way, Clinton Woodby's fallen into the clutches of Ryan Patti for third. This could be, again, a monumental shift. And again, I'm going to try to get confirmation if the gap is 25 or more. I just cannot see a scenario next week in Sonoma where we have enough cars in the field for Harold Watkins to be able to make up a 25-point gap. But I'll double-check after this race and see if we can't figure it out for you. Rusty Modesty's on pit road. By the way, Adam Pettit, I'm not exactly sure what happened to the 49, but he is out of this race as of back on lap 97. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I got no indication that he crashed or had anything go wrong to his car. Weird turn of events there. Matt Hayden closed for a moment. Leaders on pit road. Final pit stop of the night. The window opens with 24 to go. Watkins and Hayden come down together. Woodby and Patti both stay out. Right on the number of 24 laps to go. And for Watkins, you've got to be perfect in and out of your box here. We're going to watch this, a very important pit stop here for Harold Watkins. Into his box. Matt Hayden just in front, into his box. Up on the jack go these two cars. The most important pit stop of the 2026 season for both men. 2 tires for Watkins, 4 for Matt Hayden. Gamble for Harold Watkins on pit road. He goes 2. And he's going to stay on the lead lap, I think, because of it. It'll be close. Woodby coming around to lap him. He may stay on the lead lap. Does Ryan Patti know that? Watkins cycles in front of Woodby. He's still on the lead lap. Other leaders you'd anticipate would come to pit road here pretty quick. Although Woodby, Patti, Little, they all ran long last time. Turns 3 and 4. Woodby says no this time. Patti says no this time. No for Little, no for Catrone. So it's a Matt Hayden and Harold Watkins call to pit early. Jimmy Fitzmaurice, I think, may have done it as well. Was there communication between those two to pit early? I do believe those two are working together tonight in some capacity. Was there a call to pit right when the window opened? Was that intentional from those two cars? Would be on pit road, Little on pit road, so maybe not a scheduled stop, or in terms of pitting way early. This other car is coming to pit road now, 20 to go. Ryan Patti continues to stay out for now. 19 to go at the line. Watkins way ahead of everybody, by the way. That 2-tire call. is aggressive, but may very well win him the race and win it for him by a lot. Matt Hayden cycled out well behind everyone else. I think a number of cars went two tires. Matt Hayden went 4. Not seeing the points leader on pit road yet. I think you're going to see him right here. No, he dipped a little bit lower there in 3 and 4. He's going to stay out again. 18 to go. 4 cars have yet to pit. Patti, Catrone, Eldred, and Graham. And then Harold Watkins is the leader right now as they run on the speedway. Wonder if Patti goes no tires here. Does he gamble even more? You probably imagine he'd at least take rights, taking a can of fuel, but running long's not helping. He's losing a ton of time here. Still has not come down to pit road. He's still staying out. 17 to go at the line. Andrew Little's actually catching him here to unlap himself. Then those 4 cars have yet to come to pit road. Watkins, the first car off pit road on this cycle. It's Ryan Patti that continues to lead. Does this pay off for Ryan Patti? He's losing time now to Andrew Little, the second place car. Potentially to Modesty, Woodby, and Hayden as well. Is this going to backfire on Ryan Patti? Here comes Andrew Little on newer tires. He's going to unlap himself pretty easily here. How does this play out for Patti? A little around the outside. Going to unlap himself in turns 1 and 2, or trying to anyway. Again, we are just waiting in the wings. Only 15 laps to go. I can tell you, Patti, unless he's got that smoky Unic fuel tank under the driver's seat, I don't think he can stretch this the entire way. We had about 35 to go when we went back green. I don't think you could push it that far. We saw him go up, I think, about 29 on the opening run of stage 1. I can't remember exactly how far he went on that run. He did pit, but I think he only went 27 or 28 laps. Man, contact Patti and Little. So those two work off turn 4. 14 to go. Again, you can't stretch it. The furthest you could go is probably to about the 8 laps to go number. He did go a bit longer. He pit a little bit later than those guys on that last caution. So you wonder if this is all scheduled. More contact there. I wonder if this is all scheduled for Ryan Patti. He's just having to run longer. So you'd anticipate he'd be on pit road about 8 to go, but then, I mean, from there, I mean, you could see visibly, oh boy, look out, Ryan Patti and Andrew Little playing with fire here with 14 to go. Andrew Little finally does get back around Ryan Patti. I mean, Watkins' lead is massive. It's 5.5 seconds. This thing cycles out. This race is, as long as Watkins hits his marks, this race is all but over. Again, with only 35 to go in this race. Patti, Catrone, Eldred, Graham, Watkins, as they run, are the top 5. Again, we do anticipate that the top 4 on the racetrack right now will have to come to pit road, and Ryan Patti comes right here. Patti cedes the lead. James Catrone will take it. 13 to go now. And how far back in the pack does this put Ryan Patti? It's going to be my question. Because Woodby is 9 seconds back of Harold Watkins. So where does Patti cycle out in all this? He did lose a considerable amount of time on that run. So I wonder how far back he ends up cycling here. Catrone, Eldred, Graham, the only 3 who have not yet come to pit road. 12 to go at Motegi. Eldred coming here, did make it to pit road just barely. Now 2 cars left to pit. Catrone and Fisher Graham, 11 laps to go. Will these cars continue to wind down laps? Here comes Catrone. The attention now turns to Fisher Graham, who is downshifting as if he's coming to pit road, and he will do so with 11 to go. Ryan Patti cycled out second. Not sure how. He runs long and somehow cycles out P2. 10 laps to go at the line. Watkins re-inherits the lead. It's a 3.5-second lead, basically, over Ryan Patti, who again does not have race-winning pace. Matt Hayden must have had a critical issue on pit road or a penalty. He's dropped behind Greg Bourbonier, now runs 10th. Well, he's now up to 9th. He'll go to 8th, ahead of Catrone and Graham, who ran long. But it's very likely he'll finish at best 7th, and that's a tough break for Matt Hayden, who had a really good night. But it'll be single digits on the board, and again, Watkins is 9 laps away from a win, but Ryan Patti has fought back to potentially gain a second-place finish tonight. Watkins will close the gap ever so slightly, but you wonder, is there any hope next week? Or is this thing still locked up tonight? We'll try to double check after this race if Watkins does finish this thing off. We'll try to double check and see what the championship status is headed in to Sonoma. Watkins will lap Brian Cunningham here. 7 laps down to the 32. 8 laps to go at Twin Ring Motegi. Patti driving away from Andrew Little, 2.2 seconds to gap. Back from Patti to the 68. And it's 4+ seconds back to anybody else. It appears Patti's got second locked up as long as he does not make a mistake. 7 to go this time by. And the countdown to the end of this race is on. Six to go at the line for Harold Watkins. It's been a picture-perfect night. Besides losing the lead to Matt Hayden on pit road in stage 1, Harold Watkins has been about as perfect as you can possibly get tonight at Motegi, and this is exactly what he needed. He said last week it was win or bust. And he's on track to do just that. Five out the flag stand, 5 laps to go. And again, a picture-perfect night. The backside, or drawback rather, is going to be that Ryan Patti's going to finish second. He's going to just barely scrape out breaking even with Harold Watkins just about. Again, he'll lose a little bit, but it won't be a ton, I don't believe. We'll have to look at the points after this race ends. We'll head to Sonoma next week. I'll try to tell you before we get off the air tonight what exactly that gap will be headed into next week's race. Well, with the amount of cars we've seen over the last couple of weeks, it's going to be awfully hard for Watkins to make up the ground. Inside of 4, make it 3 laps to go at the line. For Harold Watkins, it's just the procession to the end of this race. He does not want to see a caution come out at this point. At this point, you'd just like to close up the victory and move on to Sonoma next week, come what may. At the very least, he wants a chance for a championship next week. And we'll try to tell you before we get off the air tonight whether or not that will be the case. Watkins just looking to finish this thing off. Blue turn forward just a little bit there. Popsicle sticks off the flag stand. 2 laps to go and just one more time around to make this one official for Harold Watkins. You wondered coming into tonight after the words we got from him last week. It felt like he was going to be extra motivated, but you wondered, would we get the 2025 form of Harold Watkins again? I think we've seen it a couple of times this year. Circuit of the Americas specifically, and that win, Watkins was as good as it gets. And as he takes the white flag right here, I think the answer is definitively yes. He said he needed to be at his best, needed to channel that championship energy that we saw last year that won him a Challenger Cup Series title at Phoenix last November and won him 11 races across 36 last year on both campaigns. Those wins were big, that championship huge. This win as resilient and as important as any in his Challenger Cup Series tenure. He said win or bust. He's going to do just that and live to see another day. Harold Watkins wins at Twin Ring Motegi, and the Hurricane gives himself a lifeline for Sonoma. Come down to the front straightaway. He'll get to do the donuts. And again, that championship win probably still number 1 for him in his Challenger Cup Series career. But on a night where he needed to go to victory lane, Watkins gets the job done at Motegi. Harold Watkins, your winner in Japan. If you don't think this one was important to Harold Watkins, I would argue to you right there that it is. As he blows the motor out of the number 3 on his burnouts there on the front straightaway. We'll now work into finishing results and then get to talk to your top 3 finishers tonight from Twin Ring Motegi as we look forward to the championship race in Sonoma. It's Harold Watkins, the most important win of the year for him. His 3rd win of the campaign tonight at Twin Ring Motegi comes in the most crucial of circumstances. He wins over Ryan Patti, who fights back from some early troubles in this race. We'll talk to him about how this race started for him and how he worked into a 2nd place finish. And Patti, we're waiting for confirmation to see whether or not the championship was locked up tonight. Andrew Little finishes third. Another good finish for him after his early struggles in the crash off turn 4. Rusty Modesty finishes 4th. Cody Eldred had a crash and went a lap down. He recovers to finish 5th. Clinton Woodby 6th. Another respectable effort for the outstanding rookie. Greg Bourbonier in the 7th spot. James Catrone 8th. A heartbreaker tonight for Matt Hayden. Felt like he was the only car that had anything for Harold Watkins. He finishes 9th after a pit road issue on the last pit stop. Fisher Graham finishes in 10th. The rest of the field, Jimmy Fitzmaurice in 11th, Ron Walters in 12th, Brian Cunningham 13th. Adam Pettit 14th, a good debut start for him. It did not end the way he wanted it to. That result will not show how fast he was tonight. He'll finish 14th, and Mike Martino finishes in 15th. We're actually going to start first with the man who finished in 3rd. We'll go 3, 2, and 1 tonight. So we'll start with the man who finished in the 3rd spot with a 68 of Andrew Little. Another good run for him, and again, he had some issues tonight. Had a crash earlier in the race off of turn 4 and manages to work back to a 3rd place finish. And I'll tell you what, just got some information. We'll talk to these two about it here in just a minute. But that points battle, it's going to be a lot closer than I originally anticipated. Andrew Little finishes 3rd, though. Let's talk to him first before we get to talking about the championship battle. It's Andrew Little 3rd tonight in Japan. Andrew, it's Dawson, the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you, bud. How you doing?
Not too bad. Look, Motegi tonight. Obviously, this series choosing to stick with the date in Motegi, not change to the San Diego road course. And this track, much like San Diego was to many of the NASCAR drivers this weekend, proved to be a little bit tough. What did you guys feel in the race car, that kind of made this thing tough? Especially in stage 1, we saw a lot of drivers struggling with grip through the center of the corner. What made it so tough on you guys tonight?
Mainly that, essentially 1 and 2 never ended, and 3 and 4 you had to break a lot more than you thought. So it kind of treated it almost like a really wide gateway kind of. It was interesting. We don't really run here that often, so it was a really, really interesting, we'll say, track to run, and a lot of guys struggled with it, and then some guys were really, Matt and Harold were clearly the class of the field tonight, and it looks like unfortunately Matt had a little bit of struggles at the final pit cycle there, but overall, it was interesting. I had a couple of good battles with Rusty, a couple of good battles with Clinton, so it wasn't there was a lot of fun. It was a challenge.
Well, look, Sonoma coming up next week to end off the season. You're 3rd in points, leaving Motegi tonight. So, what do you have to do next week to maintain that points position and end off what's been a really successful season for you?
I think I'll be okay. I just got to be smooth and consistent or whatever to polish off and get a lock in a 3rd place. It's let's see. I think I've got a pretty good points differential over Cody, and so I just got to basically keep it on the track. I'm not too bad at road courses, so I basically I just got to not get over my head or get in my own head there and just kind of keep focused forever and bring home that P3, which will be interesting because that means that'll be the first time I'll have to 3D print a trophy that I actually get to keep. So we'll see if I can do that.
We'll certainly see what happens next week in Sonoma. 3rd for you tonight, though, in Japan. Before we leave here, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Oh, the league's been really fun. All the guys here are having a good time. We've got a couple of new members, so thanks for them joining. We should have a few more people joining in Chicagoland, so that's cool. So thanks to the new guys coming out. J-Dub doing a really good job again at race control, and I've been enjoying the broadcast as well. So thanks to Waterford Concepts and for all your engineering and 3D printing needs, and thanks to the family who is all the way up north. They're like several hours away, so I could yell and have fun, all kinds of fun tonight. So,
well, Andrew, thanks for the time. Congratulations on a 3rd place finish tonight at Twin Ring Motegi. We will see you next week in Sonoma for the finale.
Sounds good, bud. Appreciate it.
Andrew Little 3rd tonight in Japan. Can tell you going into this interview, we're gonna get Ryan's thoughts on this going into next week as well. The points lead shrunk a lot more than I thought. I thought initially, with Ryan Patti coming in with a 2nd place finish, we were going to be looking at around a 20-point lead headed to Sonoma next week. The points are out. The lead is just 8 points between the two drivers going into next week's finale. So a points battle turns into a full-fledged one-on-one, mano-a-mano war next week at Sonoma. We'll get Ryan's thoughts on that. A second-place finish, a resilient effort for the points leader tonight in Japan. We'll see what he's got to do next week to make it a Challenger Cup Series championship. Ryan, it's Dawson, the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, second for you tonight in Motegi, but an eventful one to say the least. Let's start early in the race. Obviously, some problems for you in stage 1. You battle back, you finish second, use some strategy. Take me through your night, how you were able to recover and scratch and claw to a second-place finish.
Yeah, definitely a lot of luck and a lot of learning. I've never run this track before, aside from a handful of practice laps. So didn't really come into this race with a lot of confidence that I'd have speed. So, basically just took the first stage to try to, get accustomed to the track, find my braking points, not get into anybody, and learn as much as I could from the drivers around me. And thankfully, the way things played out, I was able to get a decent amount of stage points there. And then, from there on, it was basically just play the pit strategy game because I knew I just wasn't going to have the raw speed to be able to win the race.
Well, now all attention turns from Motegi to Sonoma. Obviously, we know that Harold Watkins goes to victory lane, and as such, it is just an 8-point difference between you and Watkins headed to the finale next week. Back to road course racing. Of course, you're a road course winner in this series already in your career, but so is Watkins. What do you have to do next week in the hills of Sonoma to secure your first Challenger Cup Series title?
Yeah, it'll be tough. I mean, Harold's always tough at the road courses. He's real good at, I think he won at Coda, which is pretty similar to Sonoma with the elevation changes and the tight turns. So I imagine he's got a pretty good shot at taking a win the way there. Not one of my strongest tracks either. So we're wrapping up the season on a pretty tough stretch for me with some unconventional NASCAR circuits, but we'll give it our all and see if we can find some speed somewhere next week.
Second for you tonight at Twin Ring Motegi. You remain the points leader, head to the finale next week. Before we let you go and get prepped for the championship race, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, man. Appreciate you in the booth. Always a great job here. Very professional for Challenger Cup Series. Thanks to all the guys that put the league on, and thanks to my wife. I love you. She actually broke her foot over the weekend, so got to jump off here pretty quick. Make sure that everything's going okay on the home front. So I appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
We will let you get to that. Ryan, congrats on the second place effort tonight. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We'll see you for the championship race next week at Sonoma.
Sounds great. We'll see you there.
Ryan Patti, a narrow points lead, headed to Sonoma looking for his first title in the Challenger Cup Series. And it brings us to the man of the hour. Last week, Harold Watkins told me it was win or bust. He had to win the last 2 races no matter what to become a back-to-back Challenger Cup Series champion. And tonight, the defending champ reverted back to that 2025 form. He led almost every lap of tonight's race. He only lost the lead once under the green flag, or rather twice under the green flag. Once on the green flag pit stop in stage 1, and once on a strategy called by Ryan Patti under a caution later in the race. Both times, he battled back to the lead and got the job done. He found a way to win. And so many times last year, it felt like he did just that. He found a way to put himself in victory lane and put himself in position to eventually capture the Season 2 2025 Challenger Cup Series Championship. And now tonight, with this win, he's just 8 points back of Ryan Patti headed to Sonoma next week. We'll talk to Harold about tonight. We'll talk to him about next week and preview Sonoma, a track that Ryan said was very similar to his win earlier in the season at Circuit of the Americas. Harold Watkins in victory lane for the 3rd time in 2026 in the Challenger Cup Series. Harold, it's Dawson, the broadcast booth. You get a copy?
Hey, Dawson, how's it going?
Not too bad. Look, Motegi tonight, you said last week to me after, last week's events, you had to win this week. No matter what, it was win or bust. And coming into tonight, it felt like, 2025 all over again. You came out, you dominated most of the race. Again, only lost the lead a couple of times. You get the job done. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. Take me through how you're feeling after a win tonight at Motegi, especially one as strong as that.
Yeah, I'm feeling great, honestly. I mean, it felt really good to kind of have everyone's number except for Matt. It was a fun battle between him and I, but it kind of was a big confidence boost to see and go out there and be dominant for once. So, yeah, can't really complain.
Well, look, again, with the win tonight, now we start to turn our attention, to next week at Sonoma. And the points gap, only 8 points difference. And, kind of what's the mindset going into that? Of course, the championship race was a much different scenario last year. Both times, it was a championship 4 format. It was just the best man wins. Now there's points to come into it as well. How is the prep going to be different from a playoff format to a chase format, knowing that you still have to calculate some points for next week in Sonoma?
Yeah, honestly, it's try to get the lead and stay there. That's the safest place to be, not in traffic. I think that's sort of what my strategy was at Coda, and I'm going to try to replicate that, try to get the lead and make sure that my destiny's in my hands. Obviously, stage points don't really matter with how many points you get for a win. So you get that 20-point bonus for winning a race. Luckily, I've split 2 and 2 with Ryan to keep me in the chase so far, and the difference last week was stage points. That's basically the whole gap between us not getting any last week, and he got quite a few. And if I can just get some stage points next week and be there to compete for the lead, and he's not there, like that's the most ideal situation, honestly.
Kind of start to preview next week at Sonoma as well. Again, a technical road course, very similar in elevation changes and tight corners to Coda, where you won earlier back in the month of March. Kind of start to preview that race. What kind of goes into being successful at a track like Sonoma?
Yeah, I think it's just keeping the car under control, saving the tires a little bit, having a good braking point for each corner. If you can sort of focus on getting a good exit and not overdriving, you'll be pretty successful there. And I really like Sonoma. I don't know that I'm the best at it, but I like the track in general, and just trying to be smooth on the throttle. That's the goal.
Well, smooth was the name of the game tonight. A winner again at Motegi, your third win of 2026 to this point. It keeps you in the championship battle headed to Sonoma next week. Before we let you go and get prepped for that championship race next Tuesday night, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to you in the booth. Really looking forward to watching this one back. You do a great job every week, and thanks again to everyone in this league that does a lot of work to make it a successful and clean racing league. Shout out to my family. Today was my dad's birthday and my parents' anniversary, and he passed away about 15 years ago. So it felt really good to get a win and celebrate his birthday, doing some donuts after the race. And shout out to everyone out there watching.
Well, Harold, thanks for the time. Congratulations on a special win tonight for you at Twin Ring Motegi. We'll see you next week at Sonoma for the championship race as you look to defend and win back-to-back Challenger Cup Series titles.
Thank you, Dawson. Appreciate it.
Harold Watkins wins tonight at Twin Ring Motegi, and you heard him mention that 20-point bonus, and that goes into now what sets up for an incredible Sonoma week coming up next week. You will not want to miss a thing as we start to wrap things up from Motegi. Last week, the week before at Michigan, Harold Watkins said he had to keep winning to stay in this. Last week, Harold Watkins told me again, it's win or bust. I have no choice anymore. I have to go out, get the job done, win, and put myself in position at Sonoma. And tonight he did just that. So many times in 2025, Harold Watkins dominated at the racetrack. It felt like every week the three had a chance at the very least to run up front and win. He was always in position. And that's why he won 11 total times across the 2 seasons and won a Season 2 Challenger Cup Series championship at Phoenix last November. And tonight it felt like, not maybe for the first time, against Circuit of the Americas, Harold Watkins very good. A couple of times this year we've seen that level out of the 3, but we've not really seen it go from start to finish like a race in 2025 where he would have the field's number. Tonight, he did just that on a night where he needed to. And sometimes catching fire at the right time, catching that kind of momentum at the right time can be the difference between a championship driver and coming up just a little bit short. And now it sets us up perfectly for what should be an electric championship race next week on the road course in Sonoma. First, before we get to that, let's take you through the week ahead, and then we'll get you ready for next week in Sonoma. Tomorrow night, again, the Moonshiners Racing League and its GMD Janitorial Cup Series come to you from Naval Base Coronado and Qualcomm Circuit. That will be live with myself, Justin Prince, Zach Case, and the rest of the boys on Precision Entertainment. That will be fun tomorrow night. A new adventure for all of us, including the drivers. Tomorrow night on the Moonshiners. Wednesday night. Thursday night, the PGR eSports Intimidator Super Speedway Series has another race in the Next Gen Mini Championship Series. It's been going for the last couple of weeks. This week, the Next Gens head to Atlanta Motor Speedway for a trip to one of the most unique super speedways that we go to. That one will be broadcast right here on PGR eSports. Friday night, the Midnight Racing League's Contender Series and McCullough Motorsports action will come to you. The McCullough Motorsports Donator Series continues throughout the week as well on PGR eSports here on this YouTube channel also. PGR Light Series is done, which means Monday night will begin the off-season recruitment process, the PGR SummerSlam 499. That event is July 30th through August 2nd. Place that mark on your calendars. Now get ready to sign up and come join us for what should be a fun weekend of racing. The biggest sim racing event of the summer. It's right around the corner. Get signed up here coming up very shortly on PGResports.com. Hope to see you there. And then next Tuesday night, it's championship night. It's time to crown another Challenger Cup Series title. Ryan Patti has had the season of all seasons. 8 wins and a ton of top 5s over his 18 starts this year. After half a season last year, introducing himself to the league, he has become a championship favorite and now stands just one good effort away from crowning himself Challenger Cup Series champion. He did enough tonight to maintain the points lead. He'll have to do probably one spot better next week at Sonoma, or at least make sure that Watkins does not win the race to win a championship on the lefts and rights. It sets up a great battle. An 8-point difference between Ryan Patti, the league upstart, the man who took the league by storm last year and has won now 12 times in his Challenger Cup Series career. He takes his points lead to Sonoma. 8-point difference between he and the defending champion of the series, Harold Watkins, on the road course in Sonoma next week. You will not want to miss it. We'll be live here on PGR eSports at 8:30 p.m. Championship night in the Challenger Cup Series is upon us, and certainly hope that you'll join us. That's going to wrap things up tonight from Virtual Twin Ring Motegi. Hope that you've enjoyed everything that you've seen so far here this evening. Thank you so much for your attendance and participation in tonight's broadcast. For all the drivers, the Challenger Cup Series, the league admins, for all of us here at PGR eSports, we thank you so much for your continued support. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe. Join us on this journey as PGR eSports continues to grow by the day. An exciting one from Motegi sets us up for a championship battle, mano a mano, next week on the lefts and rights. Congratulations to Harold Watkins on the win in Japan, and we'll see you next week for championship